Have you ever worn a blouse and suddenly felt invisible, dull, or even older than your real age? It happens to so many women, and often the culprit isn't the cut, the fabric, or even your hairstyle, it's the color. Color is never just clothing. It's a signal, a silent language that tells the world how to see you, and just as importantly, how you see yourself. The shades you choose can send messages of confidence, vitality, and elegance, or they can quietly drain you, making you appear tired or outdated. This matters even more for women over 50. As our skin tone softens, as silver threads appear in our hair, and as the glow of youth is replaced by the glow of wisdom, the colors that once worked so easily may suddenly feel harsh, flat, or unflattering. Choosing wisely becomes less about following trends and more about honoring your presence. In today's video, we'll walk through 7 specific colors that can unintentionally age you, dull your energy, or make your outfit look less expensive than it really is. And more importantly, I'll show you the beautiful alternatives, shades that lift your complexion, complement your hair, and bring back the spark you deserve to feel every day. And let me say this clearly, this is not about strict rules or judgment. This is about empowerment. It's about rediscovering your best self, learning how to use color as your ally, and embracing choices that reflect the elegance and confidence you've earned. So stay with me, because the first color we're about to uncover is one that most women think is safe, but in reality, it's silently stealing their glow. Number 1, Muddy Brown Energy Drainer. The first color we need to address is muddy brown. At first glance, brown feels safe. It's neutral, dependable, and often considered versatile. But not all browns deliver the same effect. A muddy brown, the dull, dusty shade that looks like dried earth, can quietly rob you of vitality. Instead of grounding your look, it pulls the life from your face, making your skin appear sallow and your energy flat. Have you ever looked in the mirror, noticed that something felt off, and couldn't quite put your finger on it? The fit was fine, your makeup was done, but your reflection looked drained. Could it have been the color? I remember wearing a muddy brown cardigan to a family gathering when I was in my early 60s. In the photos, I didn't see the vibrant grandmother I felt like inside. I saw someone tired, almost faded into the background. At the very next event, I swapped that shade for a mocha sweater. My sister actually leaned over and whispered, "You look like you've had a week of good sleep." That's the silent but powerful impact color has. Color psychology helps explain why this happens. Rich browns, like chocolate or espresso, communicate stability, strength, and groundedness. But when the pigment is dulled and flattened, the association shifts. Instead of strength, it suggests neglect. Subconsciously, people associate those dusty tones with dirt, dust, or even something worn out. And the impression they leave isn't just about the outfit, it reflects back on you. According to research from the Institute for Color Research, people form a subconscious judgment about a person within 90 seconds of meeting them, and up to 90% of that impression is based on color alone. Imagine what muddy brown is saying for you before you've even spoken a word. Think of it this way. As we age, our natural coloring changes. Hair often becomes lighter or silver, skin loses some of its natural pigment, and contrast in our features softens. When you add a dull brown on top of that, you're doubling down on the loss of contrast. Instead of highlighting your presence, the color blends you into the background. And no woman who has lived over 50 years, with all her stories and wisdom, deserves to be invisible. So what should you reach for instead? Replace muddy brown with tones that have depth and warmth. A chocolate brown reads as luxurious and intentional. Rust, or cinnamon, add vibrancy and warmth that play beautifully against silver hair. Caramel and camel project sophistication and polish while reflecting natural light back into your face. These shades don't just cover your body, they frame your presence. Ask yourself, do you own a piece you keep wearing because it feels practical, yet every time you put it on, you feel less alive? If the answer is yes, that's your signal. Clothes should elevate your spirit, not quietly drain it. Muddy brown might feel safe, but safe is not always elegant. The truth is, after 50, you've earned the right to wear colors that lift you, not ones that age you. Let the dull shades go and choose hues that honor your vitality. And now that we've looked at how muddy brown can dim your energy, let's turn to another shade many women consider timeless and chic. But when it's wrong, it can have the very same draining effect. Let's talk about black, and why not all black is created equal. Number 2. Faded black from chic to cheap. Black has long been called the miracle color. It's chic, slimming, and timeless. For decades, women have leaned on black to simplify their wardrobes and project sophistication. But here's a truth many overlook: not all black is created equal. A deep, saturated black in silk or ponte knit will command attention, but a faded black, flat, dusty, and almost gray, does the opposite. It dulls your presence, highlighting fatigue rather than elegance. Think about your own closet. Do you have a black t-shirt you've washed 100 times, the neckline stretched, the fabric peppered with lint, the color more charcoal than ink? How do you feel when you wear it? Now compare that to slipping into a structured black blouse in satin, with a sharp collar and sheen that reflects the light. One makes you look like you've given up, the other announces you still know exactly who you are. I remember catching my reflection at an airport once. I was wearing a faded black tee and slacks, thinking I looked comfortable and discreet. Instead, I looked exhausted, as if the travel had drained the life out of me before the trip even began. A week later, I traveled again, this time in a black ponte jacket with pearl earrings. The difference in how people responded was immediate. Strangers smiled. A flight attendant even complimented my outfit. Nothing else had changed but the quality and intensity of the black. Color psychology explains why. Black is associated with authority, power, and sophistication. But when it fades, those qualities vanish. Instead, it becomes heavy, lifeless, and in some cases, even sad. According to a 2018 survey by YouGov, more than 56% of American women over 50 said they wore black several times a week, often to look slimmer or because it goes with everything. Yet, few realize that a faded black can highlight under-eye circles, emphasize fine lines, and cast shadows across the face. In other words, the very color meant to flatter begins to betray you. So how can you keep black on your side after 50? The answer isn't to eliminate it, but to be more intentional. Choose deep, saturated fabrics, velvet, satin, ponte, or crepe, that hold their intensity. Avoid thin cotton or jersey unless you replace them regularly. Balance the darkness with light by adding accessories: pearls, silver hoops, or a colorful silk scarf to reflect brightness back to your face. And when you want the slimming effect without the heaviness, reach for charcoal gray, navy blue, or espresso brown. These shades offer sophistication while being gentler on mature skin. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly evaluated your black pieces? Do they still empower you, or are they quietly draining you? Clothes are not meant to erase you, they should amplify you. At this stage in life, you deserve presence, not invisibility. The lesson here is simple. Don't let faded black trick you into thinking you're timeless when it's actually pulling you backward. Replace it with rich blacks and elegant alternatives that honor the woman you've become. And speaking of colors that can sabotage elegance when they lose their freshness, let's turn to another shade that many of us rely on. When it's crisp, it's radiant and powerful, but when it turns, it sends a message of neglect. Let's talk about white, and why a tired white can quietly undermine your entire look. Number 3. Dirty white neglect in disguise. White has always carried a special meaning in American culture. We associate it with weddings, purity, new beginnings, and professional polish. A crisp white blouse has long been a symbol of confidence and sophistication. But here's the danger. When white loses its brightness and slips into yellow or gray, it no longer communicates freshness. It suggests neglect. Have you ever reached for a favorite white shirt, only to notice under natural light that it looked a little dingy? Maybe the collar had faint discoloration, or the fabric had taken on a yellow tint after years of washing. How did you feel once you saw it? I remember wearing an old white blouse to church one Sunday. I thought it looked fine under the dim light at home, but in the daylight streaming through the stained glass windows, it looked tired and unkempt. I didn't feel confident. The following week, I wore an ivory blouse instead. Several women complimented me, saying I looked refreshed and elegant. Same setting, same woman, just a different shade of white. This isn't just perception, there's science behind it. Fabric naturally yellows over time due to oxidation, detergent residues, and even contact with skin oils. According to a textile care study published by the American Association of Textile Chemists, up to 60% of white cotton garments show visible yellowing after 2 years of regular wear and washing. That means many of the classic white pieces we hold on to may be undermining us without us even realizing it. Color psychology tells us that pure white signals clarity, simplicity, and sophistication. But once it dims, it straddles an uncomfortable line between vintage and careless. On mature skin, tired white can exaggerate shadows under the eyes, dull your complexion, and even make your teeth look less bright. Instead of elevating you, it drags your entire look down. So what are the solutions? First, treat true whites with care. Use bluing agents or oxygen-based cleaners to restore brightness and store them properly away from plastic bins or wood that can cause discoloration. Second, don't be afraid to branch out from hard white. Alternatives such as ivory, bone, or oyster offer softness and warmth, creating a glow that feels intentional rather than neglected. A crisp optic white blouse can look incredible against silver hair, but an ivory silk top might flatter you even more. Ask yourself, how many of the whites in your closet are still serving you, and how many are silently aging you? Do your classic pieces still look polished, or are they quietly telling the world you've stopped paying attention? These questions matter, because clothes don't just cover you, they communicate your self-respect. I often encourage women over 50 to invest in at least one high-quality white or ivory blouse that feels like armor, something you can wear to a meeting, a family event, or even a casual lunch and know you look radiant. When your whites are crisp and intentional, people don't just see your outfit, they see your presence. And now that we've explored how a tired white can project neglect instead of elegance, let's move to the opposite extreme. If dirty white whispers, "I've stopped caring," neon colors scream for attention in ways that often backfire. It's time to talk about brights that overpower rather than elevate. Number 4. Neon colors loud but cheap. Neon shades are designed to grab attention. They scream rather than speak, and on a dance floor or at a college party, that's the point. But on mature skin, neon rarely enhances, it overwhelms. Harsh, highlighter tones don't flatter the softness and subtlety that come with age. Instead of projecting energy, they create an almost cartoonish contrast that exaggerates every line and shadow. Have you ever slipped on a bright lime or neon pink top and felt like the color was wearing you rather than the other way around? That's exactly what neons do. When I was 62, I tried on a neon pink t-shirt while shopping at the mall. I thought it might make me look lively, but instead, I overheard a group of teenagers whisper, "Barbie Grandma." I laughed it off, but I didn't feel elegant. The very next week, I wore a rose berry blouse to a lunch date, and 2 women told me I looked radiant. The difference wasn't me, it was the color. Neons are tied to a cultural moment, youth, rebellion, urgency. That's why they show up on road signs, sportswear, and club outfits. They're meant to shock the eye and command instant attention. But past 50, shock value often works against us. In fact, a survey by AARP found that over 70% of women above 55 prefer clothing that communicates elegance and refinement over trendiness. Neon doesn't say refined, it says disposable and temporary. Color psychology supports this. Neon yellow may look energetic on a 20-year-old, but on mature skin, it casts a sickly reflection. Neon green often makes complexions appear uneven. Hot pink, instead of highlighting femininity, can draw unkind attention to the contrast with gray or silver hair. Neons aren't timeless, they're fads, and fads age quickly. So what are the better options? If you love color, and many of us do, there are shades that keep the vibrancy without the harshness. Trade neon yellow for mustard or goldenrod, which bring warmth and richness. Swap neon pink for rose berry or blush, soft shades that complement rather than compete. Replace neon green with olive or emerald, tones that feel grounded yet alive. These hues still offer personality and brightness, but they whisper elegance instead of shouting for attention. Ask yourself, do your bold pieces make you feel confident, or do they make you feel like you're trying too hard? Do people compliment your glow, or do they notice only the shirt? These are the questions that matter, because clothes should highlight you, not distract from you. I encourage women over 50 to think of color as seasoning in a recipe. Too much neon is like oversalting, it overpowers everything else. But the right warm or jewel tone is like the perfect spice, enhancing without overwhelming. And now that we've explored how neon can backfire by being too loud, let's look at the opposite problem. There's another color that many women rely on because it feels neutral and safe. But when chosen in its dullest form, it doesn't shout at all, it makes you disappear. That shade is flat gray, and it's the next trap we need to avoid. Number 5. Flat gray invisible elegance. Gray has a reputation for being sophisticated, balanced, and timeless. In the right form, it absolutely can be. But there's one particular shade that works against you rather than for you: flat gray. This is the lifeless, concrete-like gray that has no warmth, no texture, and no depth. Instead of highlighting your best features, it blends you into the background, making you look forgettable. Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible? I experienced this myself when I was 60. I wore a flat gray suit to give a presentation at a community event. The fit was fine, my hair and makeup were polished, but as I spoke, I noticed people's eyes drifting away. Later, I wore a charcoal gray blazer for a similar presentation. The difference was astonishing. People stayed focused, engaged, and several even told me afterward that I had such presence. Nothing else had changed, just the depth of the gray. This isn't just anecdotal. A 2020 survey by the Color Marketing Group found that over 65% of women aged 50 and above reported choosing gray clothing because it felt safe or neutral. But safety doesn't always equal style. Flat gray, especially when worn near the face, reflects poorly on mature skin tones. It mirrors the paleness that naturally develops with age, doubling down on the lack of contrast. Instead of bringing out your eyes or brightening your complexion, it mutes everything. Color psychology explains why. While gray can symbolize professionalism and balance, flat gray carries associations with concrete, uniforms, and even hospital wear. It communicates silence, not elegance. For women who have lived rich, layered lives, that's the last message you want your clothes to send. So, what's the alternative? Choose shades of gray with dimension. Charcoal is deep and commanding, projecting authority without harshness. Heather gray, with its marled texture, looks refined and modern. Warm top adds subtle warmth, keeping the look neutral but alive. And grage, the mix of gray and beige, flatters a wide range of skin tones while maintaining sophistication. These tones create contrast and polish while still offering the versatility gray is known for. Ask yourself, are your gray pieces lifting you up, or are they quietly erasing you? Do people notice your expression when you walk into a room, or do their eyes slide past you because your outfit blends into the background? Clothes should be tools that highlight your energy, not walls that hide it. When you choose the right gray, everything changes. A well-cut charcoal coat can feel powerful on a winter day. A heather gray sweater can look cozy and elegant at the same time. These subtle shifts turn gray from invisible to unforgettable. And once we've recognized how flat gray can silently make you disappear, we also need to talk about another family of colors that seems gentle and feminine, but often produces the same washed-out effect. Let's move on to ashy pastels, and why their softness may be undermining your presence. Number 6. Ashy pastels washed out feminine. Pastels have long been seen as delicate, feminine, and timeless. Soft pinks, pale lavenders, and gentle greens seem safe, non-offensive, and appropriate for any age. But here's the catch. When those pastels turn ashy, meaning they lose their vibrancy and lean toward gray, they no longer flatter. Instead, they wash you out, leaving your complexion looking tired rather than radiant. Have you ever worn a pale pink blouse and noticed in photos that your skin looked dull, even though you had done your makeup? Or tried a mint cardigan that felt cheerful on the hanger but made you look like you hadn't slept in days once you put it on? That's the danger of ashy pastels. They mirror the natural softening that happens in our skin tone as we age, doubling down on the lack of contrast and leaving us invisible. I'll give you a personal example. At 59, I wore a dusty lavender dress to a wedding, thinking I looked appropriate and feminine. Halfway through the evening, a relative told me I looked pale and asked if I was feeling unwell. It was disheartening. A month later, I attended another celebration wearing a coral dress instead. That night, people said I looked vibrant and glowing. Same woman, same age, the only change was color choice. Research backs this up. A study conducted by the Pantone Color Institute found that colors with stronger undertones increase perceptions of vitality and energy by over 30% compared to muted, grayed-out shades. That means a dusty pastel can literally make you look less alive, while a clear pastel or warm tone can give the opposite impression. So why do so many of us still reach for ashy pastels? Because they feel safe. They don't shout, they blend in. But blending in isn't always the goal. After 50, your wardrobe should celebrate your presence, not mute it. The alternatives are far more flattering. Instead of dusty lavender, try a lavender blue that has clarity and depth. Swap chalky pink for blush or rose, which add warmth to the cheeks and brighten the eyes. Replace dull sage with aqua or spring green, shades that suggest freshness and life. And when in doubt, a peaky coral works wonders, adding both femininity and vitality without overwhelming. Ask yourself, do your pastel pieces make you look rested, or do they make people ask if you're tired? Do they highlight your natural glow, or do they compete with it? These are the questions that help you decide which shades deserve space in your closet. When chosen wisely, pastels can still be beautiful for women over 50. They just need to carry enough life to balance the natural softening of our features. A vibrant blush blouse or a coral scarf can feel just as gentle as a dusty pastel, but instead of draining you, they revive you. And once we understand how muted pastels can make us fade, it's important to look at another common habit in mature wardrobes: overmatching. Because just like colors that wash you out, being too perfectly coordinated can rob you of elegance. Let's explore why matchy-matchy outfits often work against us. Number 7. Overmatched outfits costume trap. For decades, women were told that matching from head to toe was the ultimate sign of being polished. Shoes should match the handbag, lipstick should mirror the nail polish, and sometimes even earrings were chosen to echo the exact color of the blouse. While this approach may have once been considered proper, today it often reads as dated and rigid. True elegance now comes from balance and contrast, from the sense of effortless sophistication rather than strict coordination. Have you ever looked at old photographs of yourself in a perfectly matched outfit and thought it seemed more like a uniform than a personal expression? That's what happens when everything is too coordinated. It erases individuality. I remember seeing a grandmother at 64 wearing a full pink ensemble: pink suit, pink bag, pink pumps, even pink lipstick. Instead of looking chic, the overall impression felt heavy and old-fashioned. Later, she wore the same pink blazer with beige trousers, nude shoes, and a simple gold necklace. Suddenly, she looked modern, confident, and stylish. The difference wasn't her body or her age, it was the way she allowed one color to lead while others supported. Data supports this shift in perception. A 2021 consumer study by Cotton Incorporated found that 72% of women over 50 prefer outfits that mix and complement rather than strictly match. Fashion has evolved, and with it, the understanding that elegance is no longer about rigid rules. When you mix tones and textures, you look current, not costume-like. The solution is simple but powerful. Follow the 70-30 rule. Let one color dominate about 70% of your look, and let another play a supporting role with 30%. For example, a navy dress with a cream scarf and beige heels looks polished without feeling stiff, or a camel coat paired with charcoal trousers and a wine-colored handbag creates depth and interest without chaos. Accessories are your allies here. A scarf, necklace, or pair of earrings in a contrasting tone can break up the monotony and add personality. Ask yourself, when you walk into a room, do people notice you or just the sameness of your outfit? Does your wardrobe highlight your personality, or does it make you blend into an outdated formula? These are important questions, because at this stage in life, fashion should reflect your wisdom and individuality, not mute it. I encourage women to think of coordination like conversation. A good conversation has give and take. It's not one person speaking in a monotone. Your wardrobe should be the same, dynamic, layered, and expressive. By allowing colors to complement instead of copy each other, you create an elegance that feels both timeless and modern. And this brings us to the heart of the matter. Each of these danger colors we've discussed, muddy brown, faded black, dirty white, neon brights, flat gray, ashy pastels, and overly matched outfits, share one common problem: they diminish presence instead of enhancing it. As we move into the conclusion, it's time to connect these lessons into one clear message. Fashion at 50 and beyond isn't about disappearing, it's about wearing your worth. Color is never just about fashion. It is a non-verbal language of confidence. Every shade you put on your body tells a story before you ever open your mouth. It can whisper elegance, dignity, and vitality, or it can quietly pull you down, making you appear tired, neglected, or invisible. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to let your wardrobe speak proudly for you. The lesson from these 7 color traps is simple. Every choice you make either elevates or diminishes you. Muddy browns, faded blacks, tired whites, neon brights, flat grays, washed-out pastels, and overly matched outfits, each of them has the power to dilute your presence. But with a few intentional changes, you can turn them into colors that highlight your elegance, your experience, and your worth. I often think of one client, a woman who had just turned 70. She loved bold colors and had a closet filled with neon pinks and lime greens. She wore them because she didn't want to feel invisible. Yet instead of drawing admiration, those shades made her look like she was trying too hard. After one consultation, she stepped into an emerald green blouse with soft pearl earrings. When she saw her reflection, she whispered, "I feel like myself again, reborn with grace." That transformation didn't come from surgery, expensive clothes, or chasing trends. It came from choosing a color that honored her natural beauty. So I leave you with this question: which color in your wardrobe makes you feel most alive? Take a moment to reflect. Is it the sapphire blue scarf that lights up your eyes, the warm camel coat that makes you feel grounded, or perhaps the rose blush dress that brings softness back to your cheeks? Your answer matters, because fashion is not about following rules. It's about discovering what allows you to shine in your own season of life. If this video inspired you to rethink the role color plays in your confidence, I would love for you to share your thoughts below. Comment and tell us which shade makes you feel the most radiant. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss future episodes, and share this video with a friend who deserves to feel as vibrant as you do. Thank you for spending this time with me. It has been a joy to walk through these insights together, and I hope they encourage you to embrace your wardrobe with fresh eyes. Until next time, remember, wear your worth, honor your presence, and let your colors speak volumes. I'll see you in the next video.